Hello all, my name is D. Campbell, and on today's video we're going to be addressing, are you billing and reporting your bilateral procedures properly? When I first became a coder, 6 years ago, I had a really hard time with bilateral procedures, and frankly I just wanted to make a video that I thought would help someone else out. It's not that difficult doing bilateral stuff. However, finding the information on bilateral procedures and bilateral indicators is a little bit difficult, actually. Me trying to create this video, it was kind of like me trying to reteach myself it again, where I was just trying to find the guidelines. Quite frankly, it wasn't that easy to find on the second review, but hey, I found it, and now it's all in one source for everyone. So how does bilateral work? Did you know that there are bilateral indicators? How it works is in the MUE list, or the medical unlikely edit list, we have bilateral surgical procedure edits as well. They're broken down into 4 different types of categories. We have bilateral procedure indicator 0, which means no bilateral payment adjustment. When you use modifier 50, that's the bilateral modifier, it usually increases payment by 150%. However, if it's a bilateral indicator of 0, it will not. And instead, it is best to report each of these lines individually. Bilateral procedure indicator 1 means it will get the 150% adjustment. So use modifier 50 on it and you will get paid an additional 50% of the value of that code. Bilateral indicator 2 means bilateral procedure, 150% payment does not apply. RVUs are already based on the value of it as a bilateral procedure. So what that means, quite frankly, is the procedure is already set up as a bilateral, or they already set up the value of it to indicate that it's bilateral, so there's no need to indicate it to expect additional payment. And finally, bilateral indicator 3 means no bilateral payment adjustment. This one's most commonly used for radiology orders, where you are expected to report each of them individually because you will get 100% of the payment for each of those individual items. CMS has its own site where it lists out the CMS indicators that you can follow here. I'll break them down again because I kind of think this one's a little bit cleaner, but I wanted to share both for each people. 0, it'll let you know you do get 150% payment adjustment for bilateral procedure does not apply. The bilateral adjustment isn't right in codes in this category because of physical or anatomy. The code descriptor specifically states that it's unilateral and there's an existing code for bilateral procedure. So just saying don't use it for this, make certain to reference your book. There probably is a bilateral code that you should be reporting instead of adding a modifier to this code. Indicator 1 means 150% payment will happen for a bilateral procedure. If you bill a code with bilateral modifiers, Medicare payments base these codes off of this. When reported as bilateral procedure, on the lower of the total actual charges for both fees, or 150% of the fee schedule amount for a single code. Bilateral indicator 2 means 150% payment adjustment does not apply for these codes. And then bilateral 3, the usual payments for bilateral procedure does not apply. Service in this category are generally radiology procedures, that's the key here, which aren't subject to the special payment rules. The big difference between these ones is indicator 3, you want to list each side individually because now you actually get 100% of your payment for each of the sides. So make certain you're indicating these ones properly. So how do I locate this information? There's 2 actual different ways that you can locate it. One is you can find the CMS's PFS relative unit file. I have it linked here. You can download the latest report and use the table to find bilateral indicator. It'll be a huge file with multiple different folders and files in it. This is the file you want to open. I'll show you bilateral indicators. Personally, I like this version more, but that's because I like spreadsheets. Otherwise, CMS does have a handy website here where you can search the physician fee schedule. One option that you can do is you can use the spreadsheet. Like I said, that's my favorite way. That's just because I like spreadsheets. All you have to do is simply open the table, then use Control F. That's your way of searching in any Windows program, and then simply type out the CPT code that you want. Note CMS uses HCPC language for both CPT and HCPC codes. That's just something you're going to have to get used to when you're reading any of their literature. So as you can see, they use HCPCs here. And we have the bilateral surgery indicators listed here. So as you can see, or x-rays all tell us to use a bilateral indicator of 3, meaning each side will be reported individually with each of their own respective modifiers. Well, 69029, which is a common procedure for removal of earwax using irrigation, says it has bilateral indicator 1, meaning that you would use modifier 50 and you would get 150% payment. It does look like there's an error on this where it says 2 for 69210. But in all my years of experience, you will get paid on a 50 for a 69210. I looked at the archives all the way back to 2018 and it still said that on it, but I don't think it actually matters. Just know that sometimes these forms are wrong. Always reference your book. So as you can see here in my book, it does clearly say for 69210 for bilateral procedures, do report modifier 50 with it. So always take book guidelines greater than any bilateral indicator guidelines. I will be curious to look into this now. I want to see if we do actually get paid extra or not when we use 69210 with a modifier 50, or if they are truly just have an inflated RVU for it, like bilateral indicator 2 says, where they are already expecting that it would be bilateral, or they'll pay the same if it's bilateral or unilateral. Be interesting to see. But I know I've never once been denied for using modifier 50 on 62910. Using the physician fee tool, this might be your favorite way of using it. Just search simply CMS physician fee schedule lookup tool on Google. It will then take you to this link here. And how it works is you just type in the code that you want in it and you will get the information. You do have to scroll over quite a bit to find it here. And you can see it's pretty far into the bar. And then scroll about halfway, you'll find BILTSURG. That lets you know the bilateral indicator row, and you can know if you're reporting things right. So reporting examples here for x-rays. X-rays have the bilateral indicator of 3, where you do have to individually report them because you will get paid 100% for each of these lines individually, thus 200% you get paid. So have one line with the x-ray in the modifier for the side, plus the respective diagnosis for that side, a second line with the left side x-ray with its respective diagnosis code, 69209, removal of earwax, common one. That one does have a bilateral indicator of 1, meaning we will use modifier 50, thus only 1 unit on it because we will get paid 150%. And then just use your respective code for it. And that's it. That's how you do bilateral indicators and how you function on it. Here's some of my sources here at the end. Just make certain you review those websites whenever you have questions, and it's pretty easy to make certain you're reporting your bilateral right. I hope this helps you. Hope this helps all the new coders out there, new billers, and have a great day.